Thank you so much.
Love to have you become one of us.
Yes.
I think we're in the same ballpark in terms of our consciousness, and so welcome very much. And also welcome to you in the audience. A pleasure to welcome to the program Julia Calfee. She's a photographer. She's also a video artist, and she is subtitled, it's something to do, kind of an interesting title, highlighting endangered human beings among the human species, something of that order.
Exactly,
She's doing
yes.
programs. She's got a book that's just coming out now in March of 2008, Inside the Chelsea Hotel, which we all know here. And we're going to talk to her about photography and art and so forth. And Julia, welcome really very, very much to Conversations.
Thank you. I'm
My
really glad to be
pleasure.
here.
And so you can go along with me. I always ask people to share a little bit where you came from, what's your background a little bit. Then we'll get into your career and the work that you're actually involved in. Just a little bit of where you were born and that kind of
Yes,
thing.
I was actually born in the city.
Okay.
And then moved very quickly to a lost little town in Vermont called Dorset, Vermont.
Okay.
Spent quite a bit of time there. Came back to NYU briefly for journalism.
In journalism, okay.
In journalism, actually, more than photography. Then I moved to Paris, finished up in the Sorbonne, and then started working in Europe. And I actually came back to New York and started living in this country on the occasion of my book being printed, Spirits and Ghosts, and then started living in the Chelsea Hotel.
Isn't it a great place?
Yeah, and
it's a delightful place.
And
yeah.
I never actually lived in New York in my whole adult life before I started living in the Chelsea Hotel.
How do you like New York?
I love New York.
I do too. I think it's just great. There's so many people here, and the Chelsea Hotel is just an iconic place, you know.
Yes.
And that, but and you did journalism, right? And you went into photography. Were you in print journalism? Were you in photography as part of the journalistic mission? And
no,
everything?
absolutely not. At that point, I was doing purely writing journalism.
Right.
And as I advanced on that and did more and more writing, I realized that I was doing photography more on the side, and I said to myself, hey, you know, this is really working. Sometimes seems to me as if I can get it across much more with photographs.
Oh, I think it is true. I think it is really true. Things stick in people's mind. The more they're using all of their sensory capability, the more it sticks in their minds. There's studies to that effect by Harvard Medical School and so forth.
Yes.
And we're moving into a multimedia world
as well,
increasingly. Yeah.
Which is why I use video, and I'm very excited about using combinations of video and photography.
Right.
And
yeah, you're an artist in that sense,
yes.
mixing and that sort of
Yes.
thing. You were journalism. Were you doing political journalism, social journalism?
Yeah,
or
it was more
feature stuff, or
no, it was more social journalism.
Okay.
I've always been interested in really how human beings work, how they how they correspond to the outside world. What is always going on under the surface? That's what's interesting, right?
Yeah, right. I think that is true, because that really is true, and there's an awful lot of room for that. We get a lot on television of what is the news, something that's happening right now.
Yes.
But there's another section. I happened to be up late last night. I happened to be reading, going to sleep, and they got a section in the New York Times that I found very interesting because it's trends. And so they're looking, instead of at an event that is a news thing that's going to break right now or something, they're looking at trends and also in-depth kind of understanding of the human condition. I think there's more and more of that kind of reporting coming. It sounds to me like you were interested in some of the things behind the immediacy of the news. And I think that's interesting.
Always I mean, my projects are always really long-term, years and years and years.
Really? Okay.
Yes. I mean, the Mongolia, I was there for over a 5-year period for 2 to 4 months a year.
Boy, that is a lot. And I understand you had some talk with the tuba and the throat singing people and everything?
Yes, and the shamans, but also I worked in the prisons, I worked for NGOs, I was in the work camps, I organized a medical caravan.
In Mongolia?
In Mongolia,
yeah,
exactly.
Okay,
So it was always it was scratching, you know, underneath what is apparent. When you go to Mongolia, what do you see? Oh, galloping horses, and people serve you tea, and people think that's the end of the country.
Yaks.
No.
Don't they have a lot of yaks
They
there?
do have a lot of yaks.
Yes, right. Okay, yeah. And
And a little bit, that's why I was fascinated, and I decided to make this big move for me from Europe to New York to live and work in the Chelsea Hotel to do this document.
What had taken you to Europe, to Paris? You were young, and hearts were free and gay,
exactly, yes.
and that sort of thing, and Paris is an interesting place.
Paris is an interesting place.
Picked up French then, did you?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
I speak quite good French. Yes.
Okay, that's good. And you were there for quite a while, apparently.
Yes, years.
Sorbonne, you were studying there, journalism again.
Yes. At that point, it was more really the École d'Art, so it was more generally art history. I have a very good background on art history.
Didn't there a thing, Cinémathèque or something over there too, that was for film? I guess that was more like some of those bête noir, those noir movies.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you were there, and when did you first pick up a camera? Which was it? How did you happen to come into photography from print journalism, or from that? You know, I can understand your consciousness about trends and seeing things underneath and that kind of thing. But when did you start picking up on the idea that, because you got you down now as a photographer?
Yes, right.
Okay.
Yes. Actually, for years I moved away completely from print journalism.
You did.
And now I'm coming back, because for my Chelsea book, I actually did little stories for every photo. So I was much more, did something that was very complete. In my book on Mongolia, I have almost no text. So I've been moving back and forth.
The book on Mongolia was the earlier one?
Yes, the earlier one.
And you picked up a camera. I once did a program with Philip Jones Griffith. He was the head of Magnum Photos.
Yes,
and he was and the captions, you have to have a caption.
To have captions,
and it's a question of editors, too. An editor's going to select things, and they have to have the rights to make sure that not only the photograph, they're iconic often, but and convey a tremendous amount, 1,000 words in a picture, but the captions are very important, that they have a right to have editing, not have the wrong caption put under a particular photograph. That's also important in terms of the rights of the integrity of the work of the photographic arts.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, And you became a photographer.
So I became
when you were in Paris?
Yes, I became a photographer when I was actually started working a lot in the artist studios at that time, and I continued that work in Spain. And of course, that seems to be very obvious for me that I needed to show what was going on. Words would never describe an artist working in his studio or working outside, and the relationship between him and his work and the environment. So that's
Well, you carry through that photography onto film or video,
and
which is even more all-involving and multi-sensorial, right?
Yes. So I think that's what's cool. It's what we're all doing.
When did you first get involved in video? We're involved in video here, or film, in a sense. Do you think of yourself as being involved in film, or you're mostly still photography? Did you use a Hasselblad? What camera did you use? Was it important? Did you like Bresson and Kappa and those kind of things? The iconic photographers of the past, were they people that you sort of paid close attention to as you developed the photography? It's an art form of the highest order.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see. I was always much more, I guess, directly influenced by some of the great artists, actually painters, that were very much interested in light.
It all builds
like
together.
Georges de Latour or something like that. I like all my work is done under natural light. I don't use flash.
You don't?
No, for these.
Or you don't use lighting for portrait photography. You don't cotton to and Stiglitz kind of stuff.
No, I very much use environmental light for my
experimentally with iris settings and things.
No, not even. No. It's very straightforward. It's because there's so much cool light all in different places. I mean, even if we look at the light here, it's really amazing. We have these lights, but we have the shadows also.
Yeah, right.
So I use not 100%, but I would say about 95% natural light.
Okay, a lot of it.
Yeah, and same with the video. I use very easy 35mm handheld cameras. I like to move around. And
wait a minute, 35 millimeter I think of as a still camera. You're not talking about 35 millimeter film.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but that transition between film and video and photography.
I mean, I just 35 millimeter film, of course, and just the equivalent of a Leica, sometimes a Canon. So a small camera that I can move around with easily.
Is it getting better for the photographer with all the digital developments, the digital cameras and so forth, or what is the implication of transiting from Hasselblad and graphics and 4x5 graphics to the digital formats that are coming now? It seems to me everything's moving that way.
Yes,
everything else in the universe is moving digitally. Why not photography? But what do you think about that as a photographer?
Yeah, as a photographer, as you know, or maybe you don't know, I did shoot inside with film, right? With high-speed film.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And it's like really full of grain, and Mongolia, the same thing. I love grain.
Yeah.
I love to have things that are three-dimensional.
Surat.
Yes, exactly. You got it.
Pointillist, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, very much.
Yeah, the arts meld, don't they,
Yes,
one to the other?
They
yeah.
do.
Right,
and I like
right.
that impressionist look. So when I'm on assignment, of course, I use digital. That's normal. And I work in color. But when I do these long-term personal projects that finish in books that are really close to my soul, then I do use film.
Right, and you have a very rich website. We're going to we got a link to that up. It's very rich. You got all kinds of photographs and everything there, and you've covered it's a very well put together site too. I don't know if you do that yourself or somebody does it, but it's really well done, and we're going to let people know about that. But just to get these photography things out, you know, of the way. How many books have you published? These are very handsome books. We got them up. And the Inside the Chelsea is only just out now as we make this program.
Just out now.
Didn't you just get back from a tour in Europe where you let people know about the book?
Yes, absolutely.
And it was to promote the book, I presume.
Yes, well, it's to promote the book and to show my work. I was in Oslo. They had a...
You had a show?
They had a world press, and so for the Norwegian photographers, and I was invited with some Magnum photographers, and we did presentations, and then I went to Paris also. And showed it to people in the Fondation Cartier, and then to Brussels.
Okay.
And so, and during the time I was away, I only had 1 or 2 books. And then I found out 2 days ago, oh, they're all over the bookstores in New York.
Isn't that good news?
Isn't that cool?
Isn't that wonderful? And there's such handsome books. And we want to show, and we got a couple of clips, so we'll let people know in advance. We got a couple of clips, DVD footage, one from your Mongolian work, and then another one from Inside the Chelsea, and we're going to show clips of that. But that's really interesting. I want to just say parenthetically, if you don't mind, I was introduced to you by our good buddy Nate Conrad, who is, what is he? He's red or yellow? Yellow. He's yellow on the Colors Project, the program that airs here on Manhattan Network every Thursday at 11 o'clock with John Kowalski and Nate and Kirsten Stofa. A really creative bunch of people, and I want to thank Nate for that. He's a really good mixer. He can visual mix. They get high art often. They're doing it spontaneously with camcorders, and he can mix video, and they achieve moments almost every program of real high art. The mixing of the video is really an art form of the highest order, and Nate and those people are artists of the highest order in my estimation.
Very impressive.
And when I get introduced by somebody as lovely and as talented and as capable as you, by somebody as well, I don't want to say lovely with Nate, but as talented as he, that's a good reference, and I just want to throw that out. Thank you, Nate, and Colors, all. But okay, now let's talk. We're gonna want to come up to, you were at Sorbonne, then you came to New York, and you came to New York. There's a lot of apartment buildings in New York, a lot of places you could be. If you're coming to New York anew, in a certain sense, from Vermont and that sort of thing, but you're coming back to New York, and why, maybe we could bring it to that, but no, maybe we should go off on that later, okay? Because we want to talk first about when were you in, because we got a clip we're going to show of Mongolia. Well, maybe we can go chronologic a little bit.
Okay.
You've done your work in Paris, you had that experience in Europe, you've learned that and viewed that, and then how did it happen that you went for, it was a long time, you told me, in Mongolia of all places?
Yes, it was
the
actually...
end of the world.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Actually, it's the center of the world.
Right, yes,
I mean,
yes,
you're right. As a matter of fact, the inner kingdom.
Because, I mean, there were so many people from Mongolia that migrated, or either with Genghis Khan or...
Absolutely.
I mean, that's
even further back, humanity all comes out of Africa, and they were up in Kazakhstan for about 10,000 years. And Europe was... peopled from Kazakhstan.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I mean,
amazing.
People from Mongolia believe really that it was from their tribes that the whole world has been populated.
No, the mitochondrial DNA studies and linguistic all say that was it. Indo-European language maybe could be associated with that and everything. So you were at the heartland, what's called the heartland in a way. Although I think of Mongolia a little more eastward than the heartland, but it's interesting. But so you were drawn to Mongolia as a place. And were you thinking of it photographically then, or were you thinking of it journalistically? Was there a person that drew you there? Was there a fellow involved?
There was, I mean...
An archaeologist studying Mongolian patterns or something?
Well,
no.
there was a little bit of combinations.
I don't mean to pry. Oh,
no,
good.
Please let me tell you.
Usually things are a little bit more convoluted,
Yes, there's always a combination.
Yes, right.
All right, so first Mongolia had always been a dream for me, but I believe before to move somewhere, even if it's only very temporary, for 2 or 3 weeks, there's something that draws you there.
Yes, yes, yes.
Otherwise, we're just wandering around for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was introduced.
Tourists.
Yes. Who
Yeah.
wants to?
Right,
Yes.
right.
And so I was introduced to a filmmaker from Mongolia who fell in love with, had a big fight with his ex-lady friend that he left in Paris and went to Mongolia to make this film. And
Enough
fell in
about
love.
her. What about you?
So, okay, we're getting there. And so he fell in love with this sort of beautiful princess from Mongolia, and he invited
Oh, no,
the
I'm sorry.
filmmaker.
Oh, okay.
So he invited his friends from all over the world to come to that wedding.
Okay.
And I came, and there were many other friends, and then there was the director of the Museum of Archaeology in Zurich, and we went looking for shamans. And then the following year, I was sent back by Figaro magazine for 2 months about the standing stones and the menhirs, and then I decided to do the medical caravan and the personal projects there.
Okay.
And I really fell in love with the country. I thought, hey, there's something about this place that draws me. I want to understand it better.
And you were there for how long?
So over
wait a
about...
minute. Where's the personal connection now?
Well, the personal
The
connection...
fellow that had a lady friend who was a princess or something?
Yeah, well,
that just got you there.
He exits at that point. So
in
to
your
speak.
life, yeah.
No,
yeah.
well, no,
and you were taken over by the country of Mongolia itself on your own consciousness.
Exactly.
It wasn't, you know what I mean.
No.
Okay.
I know what you mean, but no.
Right. Things happen that way.
They do.
Yeah.
I guess
anyway.
they do,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's, it hasn't happened to me in that way.
Okay. Well, it's just thought, Hemingway wrote on it and that kind of thing. But okay, so you were there, and it is an interesting country. I think of it as very vast plains. You're in the taiga. Are you in the forested area, or is it? I think of it as like the steppes and Genghis Khan, and that kind of thing, and open spaces and horses.
Yes, horses.
See, I've got full knowledge of it.
Right, yes.
Yeah. Ulan Bator, right?
The capital, yeah. Post-Soviet, very ugly city.
Really? Okay.
With lots of leftover people. Because when Mongolia was a communist country from 1922 to about 1992, and then it switched to being a democratic country, which means more capitalistic system.
Yeah.
And those people have been nomads all their life, and they didn't know how to deal with that system.
Right.
So
right.
I mean,
absolutely.
If you think about it.
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
So
I think that a lot of the world doesn't know how to deal with things that came from the European consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah. It might be a big problem still in Iraq and other places.
Exactly.
I don't want to go into that. But
I mean,
it's sort of imperialism or cultural imperialism.
Yes, it's not so evident if one is not born into that. It's really to adapt. So the Ulan Bator is full of all the people that didn't make it in the steppes because their animals died and they didn't get any help from the government anymore, and then they move into the city and they sort of hang around, go to the black market. So Ulan Bator is a very tough place.
Is it really? Okay.
And I work for the NGO in some of the big high security prisons in Ulan Bator. So
one more time, I'm sorry, how long did you spend in Mongolia?
So it was
years.
Yes, over a 5-year period.
That's a long time.
Yes, I went 2 to 4 months a year. So I would come back. And
to Europe.
Yes, to Europe where I was leaving, equal out the finances, and then go back to Mongolia.
You were there, and then you were doing that, and you were taking photographs. You were doing that, and so this is a book here. We want to set up a film. One of the problems is we don't have enough time. We've only got 1 hour. We could talk 17 easily. But this is Julia Calfee, Spirits and Ghosts. You were interested in things spiritual and some of the spiritual qualities, shamans, I heard you say, that sort of thing. And this is one of the books that resulted from your time in Mongolia?
Exactly. That's it,
maybe talk to that a little bit, and then we'll want to show a clip of a film. But you put the book together when? And you put the DVD that you have now of Mongolia together when? That's video.
Yes.
Maybe you could set it. This is all leading up to what they call setting up the piece we're going to run.
Right. So the first time I went to Mongolia was in 1997.
Okay.
And then I went back in 98 and 99 and then 2000 and 2001 until 2003. And I have hours and hours of video.
Yeah.
So
you were doing video then?
I was doing video and photography at the same time.
What had you done before 1997 by way of photography or journalism that is part of the record?
Well, it was during those years that I
Prior to that, I mean.
Prior to Mongolia.
Yeah.
Yes. That's when I was working with the artists, with the Spanish artists, with the Fondation Miro. I was living in France. I was working with the artists of that period, the 70s and 80s, César, Armand. So
painters.
Painters.
When you say artists, yeah.
Yes.
See,
painters.
artist is a generic term.
You're
yeah.
right. Yes, painters.
And you hadn't really picked up on the multimedia thing yet.
No, I hadn't. Yeah.
I see. Okay, that's an important part of your formative thing.
Yeah.
But you're coming out of the arts, and so.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to. We got to try and keep the thing structured. You have some photographs. I don't know if we're going to show a clip about Mongolia. That's '97. That's relatively recent. That's only 10 years ago.
What, the clip?
No, 1997.
Yes,
only 10 years ago. So you were coming into film, and so.
The whole thing was going on at the same time.
But the photography started first. And
yes.
You have some things. Do you think we could show those now and then set up the film?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Why don't I hold, should I do this?
Sure.
Just
yes.
take this? You could let me know. We got some of your photographs, and this would be coming, and you can come in on that, and maybe you could talk to it, Julia.
Yes.
We got, how many have you got? We got 3 or 4?
Yeah, I've got 3 or 4 Mongolia.
Okay, we'll show these, and then we'll set up the film about Mongolia.
Yes. And this is a very important photograph because this shows how the sacredness is important in Mongolia.
Can they come in on that, I wonder? Okay, yeah. Okay, talk to it then. I don't know why they're not coming in, but go ahead, talk. Yeah.
So this animal actually lives across the river on the other side in the mountains. And she is wearing around her neck these sacred scarves that they have in Mongolia called haddocks, very much like they have in Tibet. And so she's really, I mean, she's almost worshipped, but she lives by herself. And then every once in a while, she'll go across the river and have this sort of interaction with the nomads. Now,
got it now. Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
It's amazing, no?
Yeah, right.
And it's like they're half scared because she was tall. I mean, she did the same thing to me. So you don't know whether is she playing with you or, you know, there's a playfulness, but there's almost like a little bit, how can I say, like, I'm the queen and I know it.
That is a photograph. This is a photograph.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, I can't see well without my glasses. It looks as a painting. It looks like
yes. They say my work
Turner
is
yes,
it's very
a lot of darks and things. Is black and white?
Yes, it's black and white.
Did you like black and white? You like black and white?
Yes, yes. All my work, all my personal work that I love is black and white.
Okay, good. Well, let's get through these. And the problem again always is that we don't have enough time.
Yes, of course.
But let's put another one up for the people to see. Okay.
Yes. So this is much further north, and it was before I went on the migration with the shamans. But it's just once again this interaction of the people, the nature, and the animals. This is actually mating season for the camels, and we're at 3,000 meters, which I think is around 6,000 feet or something like that.
3,000 meters, about 9,000.
Yeah, 9,000 exactly. And so you have these amazingly, you know, hairy camels in the middle of winter.
Bactrian camels, do they call them?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I just think they look so healthy and alive, and the guys like looking.
They have to be healthy to live up there. I did geography, and that's where you get some really cold weather. I mean, your biggest temperature variation is in that Eurasian heartland. But here's another one then?
Yes, so this is when I was on the migration with the shamans and the reindeer herders. And this is, a lot of my work is I try to do not everything perfectly in focus. I have lots of focus photography next to this.
Deliberately, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like a dream. What is
this?
Yes,
I understand. Surreal. Like,
yes.
Surreal can be fun.
Yes.
Mr. Dali? Or,
yes.
Okay, and then we got one more here.
Yes, it's a little bit tougher. So this is the adolescents' prison in the capital. And I worked a lot in those prisons, and I even stayed in them for sometimes weeks on end.
Good for you for taking account of that. They're pretty grim, are they?
Yes, it's because there's no legal system in Mongolia.
No legal system.
So when you get in prison, you can stay up to around 35 years. No one is going to get you out of that situation.
That's really disquieting, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's a very shameful thing for the prisoners. So often they'd rather just think their families that they were dead. And so I went in with an NGO.
Political prisoners, do you think, under the communists, was it? And
yeah, well, this is no longer.
Yeah, right, I understand. Yeah.
Yes, but so these are political prisoners, or these are just poor little adolescents that are starving and were caught stealing, and they're thrown into jail for a very long time.
Dickensian, like,
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
really awful. Well, those are beautiful photographs. Thank you very much. And now we're still in Mongolia now in our
Yes.
consciousness. So, and we're going to try and set up in the control room now then.
Yes.
You have a DVD. Maybe you can just say set it up. We got to move along. That's the trouble. There's not enough time. But could you set up the DVD? It's 4 minutes or so, and we're going to show that, a video clip.
All right, that'll be fun.
Yeah, but could you talk to it?
Oh, talk about it.
Yeah, just set it up as that.
Oh, yeah, like set it up. All right, so this is about a woman shaman who is a reindeer herder, and her family migration over the mountains of Siberia. And so since the 1920s, since there was a change in regime from nomadism to really, at that time, communism, a lot of the shamanistic and magic knowledge was passed from men to women.
Okay.
Because why? Because men, as many of the Buddhist priests at that time, were actually just murdered by the communists. So they believed if the knowledge, shamanistic knowledge, was passed over to a woman, then it would stay alive, which it did during those times.
Okay, well, that's probably not the only thing that's been passed out on the matrilineal line. Yeah, okay. And so we're running that now. And so we could set that up and run. There it goes. Here comes the tape now then.
So I was the first one ever to isolation, without any compass and without any maps, just following the reindeer's footsteps. I completely believed in the powers of Victoria. She told me that she would bring the spirits with her, the spirits to protect me. In this incredibly cold climate. We are almost in absolute isolation. There is no human soul for thousands and thousands of miles. If anything happens to any of us, it happens to all of us. We are chained together.
Boy, that's beautiful, Julia. Congratulations. Now, you put that together yourself? Did you help the editing? You moved into a new realm of video editing, and it's beautifully done.
Of course, I had someone help me with the editing.
You did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you do the edit decisions and so forth?
Oh, yes. That was.
So you just had technical support to do that.
Yes, and
did
it was
you do
really
that
hard.
with Final Cut Pro, or do you know how it was edited? What was the film source?
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was Final Cut Pro.
I've got friends who've had Avid and Final Cut Pro, and they like Final Cut Pro better than Avid. I don't know. Avid's a catalog.
Yes, right.
But so you've become involved as of, this is 97.
Well, this was done, this actually, the little clip tonight was done in 2000 and 2002.
Oh, we're coming up closer to the present. Yeah, okay, that's right. And you're getting involved in video, so you're becoming a videographer.
Yes.
We got you down as an artist, but you're a photographer, but you're also a videographer.
Yes, I think.
And working, and you like it.
Love it.
You do? Okay, good. Well, you're ready-made for the Manhattan Neighborhood Network. There are videographers galore around it. It really is a beautiful art form and everything like that. It's just endless, the possibilities with nuance of sound and
the sound
mixing.
Is so important.
Yes, absolutely. And the mixing of the two. It's multisensorial. That's studied by Harvard Business College is really so. Things stick more when the more it's a multisensorial involvement through the media, just as when we walk through life, it's multisensorial. It's not all spread out linearly.
No, yes.
Okay, so all of that is going on, and you were there for 5 years. Beautifully done. Is this part of a larger piece, or was this it?
Yes, actually, there are 60 hours.
That's considerabely another big fat tome, huh,
Mr.
Right. Gibbon? Yes.
So there's still a lot of work to be done.
So there's considerable on the cutting room floor, and everything.
And I really like it to be able to do this now 2 years later, because I look back on it, and for example, this no longer exists. The Inktoya can no longer travel over the mountains like this. It's been forbidden by the government. So many things that I actually videoed at that time are no longer there.
That's archival good stuff to have.
Right?
That's really important. And we're able to have more and more all the time, which is a very encouraging kind of thing. I do think that's Turco-Altaic language. I don't think that, I said before, Indo-European from a different sort, but that's another issue and everything. Anyway, that's really beautiful. And again, the problem, I keep saying it, but the problem is there's not nearly enough time.
Right.
Most people, when they say you're going to have an hour program, they're used to seeing 30-second sound bites. They say, what would we possibly say? We'll always run out of time because everybody's so interesting. That's one of the things, including yourself.
Thanks. And you're so understanding because you really catch things, too. So
do I? I don't know. Anyway, I'm just interested in everything. But anyway, now, let's move along on the exciting lifetime of Julia Calfee. And you came to New York, and we got to bring it up because we have another clip about this wonderful, wonderful place on 23rd Street called the Chelsea Hotel that has a legendary background, iconic. And you came to New York. Maybe we'll come fast forward, as they say.
Right, yes, let's fast forward.
To the new book that's just out now, Inside the Chelsea.
Yes.
And that, of course, is the Chelsea Hotel on 7th Avenue and 23rd Street.
Yeah, 23rd and 7th.
Yeah.
And I had no intention of staying.
Okay, go on. They're going to set up the clip.
So when I came to the Chelsea Hotel, actually, I was doing the book signing exhibitions on my book. So I had no intention of living in New York or staying in the Chelsea Hotel. And so I came. It was convenient, and then I was there. I started taking photographs, and I started watching how the people live in the place and the amazing freedom that was going on there.
Shirley Clark held forth on the roof.
You remember,
Oh, she was a dear friend, and Wendy Clark, her daughter,
Yes.
I remember racing around on the roof of the Chelsea back then. And you know, they did a lot of the writing of 2001 at the Chelsea Hotel.
Yes.
It's an artist, Brendan Behan.
Yes.
And the figures that are associated with it are legend. Yeah.
I mean, I live in Thomas Wolfe's room. I mean,
no fooling.
That's too
what
cool,
is
right?
that something?
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, the vibrations are there every single day. It's just amazing. Yeah.
And you picked that. It just sort of was by accident, but now you've taken up residence there.
Well, I took up residence to do the book.
To do the book,
Yes, so that's I've been living there over the past 4 years.
I see, and what a wonderful place to be.
Yes.
And then you decided this is such an interesting place, and why don't I do a book about it?
Yeah,
and you started taking some pictures and video?
Right, yeah, pictures and video. I mean, it was the other way around. Yeah, first I took the pictures, and then I looked at them. I thought, hey, you know, like there's something that's really going on here. That
always something happening at the Chelsea. Yeah,
and so
because it's all these artists.
Yes, and even the hallways are like full of spirits and souls, and it's just a place that's always alive and moving. It's almost an organic place in itself.
I told you on the telephone, I've been there a number of times. I've been to that Quixote restaurant.
Yes,
and they have lobster.
Right, they have lobster.
Right, and everything. And I've never been there yet that there wasn't. People were sitting quietly. That there is not a fight. But the fight would be not like a couple guys ballroom brawl. It would start off on the table around the corner, two people sitting, and they say, you wouldn't understand a piece of real poetry if it hit you right between the eyes. And it would be on the letter of art. Arguments, heated arguments about art, because you've got the artist element there in high definition,
Yes, and also the sense of equality. In the Chelsea Hotel, it doesn't matter if you're successful in the outside world. It's more about artists really working in a place and searching, and the loneliness and despair.
Angst, a lot of angst.
A lot of angst in that place.
Well, the artists are a group of people, aren't they? They are the ones who are outside the fishbowl and can see things creative and new. You know, a lot of people associate artists with the criminal class. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, because you see, if you're the criminal class is outside the bounds of the established paradigm in a certain sense.
Yes.
You know, Willie Sutton would go rob a bank because that's where the money was.
Yeah.
Or the fish cannot see the water in which they swim. You're outside the fishbowl. So the creative process itself is subversive of the comfortable order to which most people are associated.
Exactly,
right?
and
that's the criminal.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand as you explain it like that, and that's when I say, oh, I'm interested in documenting endangered members of the human species.
That's what you told me on the telephone. I mustered it up here at the beginning, but you're going to the endangered species, a lot of which are people who are. Mostly people who are conventional aren't endangered because they'll be safely able to stay out in the meadow, and they're not going to make any trouble, and they're just going to go along. And that's probably a lot. Artists is pretty rare, do you think? Or the Balinese, help me with this on art, because the role of the artist is very important. And the Balinese, for instance, but we do also live in a democratic order, and we know from the shamans and from the spiritual traditions, from the Vedic and so forth, that everything is a seamless web, and we're all interconnected. Everything is interconnected, and there's this thing called democracy. So artists are, in a certain sense, elite. They can be elite in their ego involvement and so forth. So they're kind of elite, or I suppose you could take it into Tiger Woods is a pretty good golfer. He's not just a regular golfer.
No.
A lot of you understand the metaphor.
I understand, yes,
and
absolutely.
So but the Balinese, out in Balinese, they have a saying, we have no art, we do everything as well as possible. Is the art a thing of just the few, or is it something intrinsic in human, making an apple pie is an art? But you understand the thing I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I mean, even Beuys said it. Joseph Beuys said it many years ago. He said everybody is an artist.
Franz Beuys.
Joseph Beuys.
Joseph, that's right. You're right. Sorry.
He was the one also that worked with shamans and did a lot of cutting out of the felt, and he did the first, those wonderful installation with the wolves, live wolves in New York in the 60s.
Okay,
And so he very much said that. Everyone is an artist.
Yeah. Everyone is an artist. That's a good thought. Another metaphor, you have to resort to metaphors if you're in the state of consciousness that I walk around in. You have to resort to metaphors all the time and they got an ad on television, finally catching up with what I've been saying and boring people with the thing. Do you happen to know, this is like Jeopardy, right? The program on television, Democrat, do you happen to know how many individual biological cells there are in a human organism? Not the life cycle, but in the average a human organism, how many cells there are?
60 million or?
Well, you've been listening to the ads.
No, I read books.
You read books too. No, but it's actually staggering. And it's also metaphorically interesting because it is from Wade, Nicholas Wade and other people, it's something on the order of 100 trillion. 100 trillion cells. There's bone cells, brain cells, muscle, and they all are overlaid with DNA, and every cell matters. Every cell is important. You get a runaway cell, it's cancer.
Yep.
So you've got a system where every one of those cells is there. So you can compare that in a certain sense. You got to be careful with biological metaphors. But, you know, the liver cells, the people that are part of the liver cells, they say, that would be like a nation. And the liver cells are really there. But it's all part of a system, you know, see? And there's some sort of a wisdom, I think, in that.
Yes.
That if one of us is hungry, we're all hungry, and there's a democratic need to include everything, but some are different than others, and the nations all want to differentiate themselves from, you understand the metaphor?
Very much so, yes.
So, so I don't know where the artist is. The brain, or I don't. Anyway, we're getting far afield into anthropology.
Maybe the skin or something, because
the skin is the largest organ.
Yeah, I mean that's why we put
the largest organ.
That's why we put artists there, because it's sort of like they hold somehow they hold it all together.
Yeah, and they also lots of them are troublemakers. There are a lot of troublemakers that are art, because why don't you just do things the way we? Anyway, enough of that. You're at the Chelsea,
anarchy. We like anarchy.
You're
right.
Troublemakers, yeah. Anyway, so remember how hard they had to get Picasso, who was something else, to do the Guernica, because he didn't want to get politically involved.
Yes, yeah.
Anyway, that's off on another field. The book and the Chelsea. You lived there delightfully, and then you got interested in photography, and did you pick up a video camera and begin to start? How did you get? Have you done you've got a documentary we're going to show, a clip we're going to show about the Chelsea, but a little bit about the Chelsea Hotel as a unique place and how you started documenting the experience of the Chelsea Hotel.
Yes. Well, I documented I started thinking about it. One morning, maybe third morning there, I was hopped into the elevator to go.
What made you wait until the third morning? Couldn't you understand your mission there after the second morning? What were you doing in those 2 days? Just wasting time eating lobster?
No, well, I hope I ate some. I was doing my book signing, I know you are.
Yeah, I see.
So hopped in to go running in Central Park. It was
good for you, yeah.
And as it went down 2 floors, the elevator opened again, and it was these 3, how can I say, creatures from another world. They were dressed. I mean, they weren't dressed. That was the whole point.
You're at the right place, yeah.
And I'm pretty, you saw I'm.
They weren't dressed at all.
I mean, they had on little,
little toadies or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely gorgeous looking, and and I gave out a real yell.
Yeah, I can.
I was listening to the Beatles or something, and they yelled, and we all hopped out on the same floor together. I said, wait, just wait there. I'm going to get my camera.
Oh.
And I go running up, and then I started taking photos of them. And then I realized that there was all this amazing, things I never seen. On Sunday morning, I was still thinking about maybe going to church and not naked, transsexual guys, in the elevator.
So you had your consciousness jolted.
Right,
yes,
exactly.
Yes,
And that's when it started.
That's when it started. You went and got your your still camera.
Yeah, I grabbed my
black and white.
Black and white.
What camera?
At that time, it was
Leica.
It was the Leica.
Leica. Okay.
Leica.
And you didn't have a video camera in your kit.
No, I didn't have a video camera. I would always go first for my camera, and then afterwards, I had a video camera, but it wasn't out. The camera was ready to go, and since they were hanging around over the staircase, I wanted to do that.
Okay, this is 2008. Which was ready to go first now as you go through life? Your video camcorder or your camera? Your brownie.
My video camcorder is moving up there really quickly.
No, I just can't. So you did.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
though,
it's true. It's a transformation that's going on all over the world, and the camcorders are getting so good quality now.
And smaller.
You used to have a great big thing to get a decent picture. Now you get great pictures with the thing you hold in the palm of your hand. It's amazing.
It's amazing. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so then you when did you start getting the idea? Again, time limitations here. The book and the clip we're going to show. We have another clip we want to show about the Chelsea Hotel and your time there. You documented it. And also, right now, I want to let people know, and it's going to take them a little while to come in on it. Now, come in tight on this part particularly, if you can. It's going to take them a while to do that. But I want to let know, on April 11 of 2008, This is a one-time only event. There's going to be a book signing event at the bookstore. Maybe you talk to this and let them know.
Yeah, Barnes and Nobles.
That down at the bottom, it's got the information.
Yeah, Barnes and Nobles, the Greenwich Village Barnes and Nobles, because the Chelsea one is just closed, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. Also, because someone is coming with me, who has lived in the hotel for so many years, and he is a great nightclub performer and has a meditation center, and so he's like really, you know.
Who is that person?
It's actually her name. It's her.
Okay.
Yeah. Her name is Rose Wood, and Rose is coming with me as sort of my alter ego. Everything that I would never have done.
Your Jiminy Cricket, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. And so we just let them know about that. That's coming up April 11. You could go
Barnes
to that and meet Julia and
Rosewood.
But so that's good. But talk to the book, and then we got a clip we want to show.
Exactly.
And again, that darn clock is running. We've only got a few minutes left.
Yes. So, as the more I worked in the hotel, and actually when I made the commitment to live there, then everything changed because the residents accepted me as one of their own.
Okay, and how many are there?
Well, lots of residents.
No, I mean a little more quantitative.
About 100. 150 or over.
Hardcore. That's like a fraternity or something.
It's a fraternity, but but it's full of cliques and arguments. It's not. A lot
of gossipy stuff going on.
Big friendly family.
No. Artists are not. Artists can be the worst.
Yes.
Their egos can be worse than Trump.
Exactly.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Especially in the winter months.
Yeah, when they get all knocked in.
Completely paranoid, and we'd be looking at each other through the peepholes.
Well, it's still through angst that a lot of art is created on the bursts afterward. Yeah.
Yes. And so
or maybe even while you're in the angst. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
It's both. You know, yeah. But go ahead. So you got the book, and you've also got a clip that we want to show.
Yes. So the clip was
actually. We only got about 12 minutes left. So.
All right. So the clip was actually done before the final editing of the book, and that's why I sort of like it, because I was still feeling my way through the hotel.
Yeah.
And the sounds. And the book is, as I said, if I hadn't made that commitment to live in the hotel and to have these people as my neighbors and be available to them, people would call me up in all hours of the day and night and say, hey, come on up. But in the end, the photos that I chose were the completely non-posed photos.
Okay.
Everything is like moving, and I took out everything that posed. So the challenge was that I would stay long enough so that I would be forgotten, sort of like a spider on the wall.
Fly on the wall kind of thing, Okay, just blend into the environment.
Yes.
And you made many friends and so forth.
Yes, I made many friends, and sometimes they'd be my friends, and sometimes they
be
wouldn't be the next
Monday
day.
Monday your friend, Tuesday they're your enemy. Yeah, I know the territory very well.
I was very relieved when, I said, what is everyone going to think of this book? Because it's about archetypes. It's not about portraits, so I didn't want people to be disappointed.
Right.
And so I learned, since the book has only been out 2 or 3 days, I was very
congratulations.
curious.
This is March 3rd to 20, and it's only 2 or 3 days.
Yes.
Welcome back to New York.
It's
a far, far better place now that you are back.
Thank you very much.
Oslo's loss is New York's gain. Okay. But anyway, so we've got.
So they love it, man. They love it in the hotel. So that's a really.
They love the book.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Because I thought, how are they going to go on this? You know? And there was no comment for.
That's like waiting
hours.
for the New York Times review of the new show on Broadway. Everybody's waiting, and you got good brew. Right. Yeah. Well, I can see why you would. Now we got 2 things. We got a book. I know we can hold it up and show it, or we can show the clip. What should we do first?
Let's show the clip, because it shows how I got into the hotel.
You could then, in the studio, set up the clip. We're talking, of course, with Julia Calfee, and she's got a new book out, Inside the Chelsea. And so if you could set that up and run that clip now, then I guess it goes about 4 or 5 minutes.
Woke up, it was a Chelsea morning, and the first thing that I heard was a song outside my window, and the traffic wrote the words. It came a-ringing up like Christmas bells, and wrapping up like pipes and drums. Oh, won't you stay?
As the last couple minutes I actually talk. So during this. On the afternoon of the first day when I was staying in the Chelsea Hotel, while I was collecting my papers, the cleaning lady was trying to vacuum. I apologized for all the mess. She replied that that was nothing compared to many other messes she'd seen in this hotel, especially from the people who lived here. Well, what sort of people do live here? She replied, on the 9th floor, there was the most beautiful, gorgeous angel you could imagine. Every day the angel changed wings and dressed in long, white, shimmery gossamer gowns. This angel never left the 9th floor. And of course, never wore any shoes. One day the angel's mother came and took the angel away. I blinked my eyes and went on with my day. It was after this story that I decided to photograph the Chelsea Hotel. But not really the hotel. The state of mind that reigns in this place. These photos are not about portraits of celebrity. They are about people roaming through their lives under the same roof with their fears, their insecurities, their personal artistic freedoms and prisons, united by the common belief that the Chelsea Hotel is a protective shield visible only to us.
Oh, that's another beautiful clip. The Chelsea, isn't it a wonderful place? That was a lovely thing about the 9th floor angel.
I know, because I saw you like laughing.
I wasn't laughing. I was laughing. It was Hemingway.
Yes, I know, laughing in a good way.
Yeah. It was beautiful. We only got about 5 minutes left, and we wanted to talk. And this book is now out in the bookstores, so you can go to Barnes & Noble or whatever and find it.
Absolutely.
Inside the Chelsea. Only a couple days out.
Only a couple days out.
Congratulations,
Thank
darling,
you.
on
I'm
the
so
public.
happy.
I don't wonder. You should be, yeah. And again, we'll remind you, on the April 11th, you can meet her at the Barnes & Noble.
At Greenwich Village.
Village.
Yes. On
7 o'clock, is it? Or
yes, 7 o'clock. It's on 6th Avenue and 8th. I'll be signing the books in Rosewood. Also
Good,
will be there.
Now what we have is we have the book here. You can see it. If you can come to the two-shot, Willie, you can see we have a copy of the book here. But we also have some photographs from it. This is the book inside the Chelsea Hotel, you can see. But why don't you hand me these photos, and we can sort of, as they say, go out. Yeah. And I'll, rather than try to go and look at the book, come in on these, and I'll keep an eye on the clock, and we'll get through as many of these as we can. And so come in on these, and this is a little tricky, but go ahead. I'll get it. Yes. Okay, talk to these. We got about a dozen of these. I'm not sure we can get through them all, but we're closing the program.
Sure. All right, so this is the fires in the Chelsea Hotel. Like, that's a really strong tradition. Mm-hmm. And people, the rooms are sort of burning up, little segments, but they never leaves the room. And then the fire alarms go out, and everybody comes out and more or less undressed. And when Melis Foreman was there, he came out of his room. He didn't have a stitch on. He had to borrow a skirt.
Melis Foreman?
Yeah,
Melis Foreman.
Yeah.
He
did actually the introduction of my book.
Oh, good for him. That's great. That's great. You're in good company.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to go through these kind of quick. Okay.
Let's move along.
So here's another. These are some photographs from the book. Yeah.
This is how it is sometimes inside the Chelsea Hotel.
Okay. Let's try and move along. I'm sorry I didn't get these so good here. Wait a minute.
No, you're doing very well.
Let me put them down here, Willie, if you can come down. Then that'll make it easier for me to... Okay, good.
Yeah, so the rooms are small sometimes, so we have to push outside of our rooms, and everyone lives in the hall. That's part of our rooms.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's like common space. The commons.
Yeah, it's like being in a bistro or something.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So children, lots of children live in the Chelsea Hotel.
Do
they play in the halls.
Okay, that's
families, and that's what I did a whole section on the children that live in the Chelsea Hotel.
Was Johnny Rotten there at the Chelsea or not?
No, I don't
From
think
the Sex
so.
Pistols? No, that was somewhere. Okay.
So this is the only one outside. This is like for people who've never seen the Chelsea Hotel.
Right next to the Don Quixote.
Yeah, and enormous. Look at that.
Yeah, right. It's a fixture. Brendan Behan was there, and okay, go ahead.
Arthur Clarke, and this is the hallway, and so there's the whole sort of demi-monde of Chelsea Hotel, and there's this wonderful light and.
Right. Okay, we're just going through kind of quick and everything.
So of course, lots of artists. Very well-known artist who actually has been knighted by the Queen of England.
Good.
And he's like, here's the orchestra, all his women that he's just painted dancing around him.
Thank goodness for the artist. Our Ornette Coleman just won the Pulitzer for jazz music, so the artists are so important. Yeah. Yes. And 10 of the race, I think Pond called them.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
they're closing graphics, so we must be coming toward the end.
All right, so this is a nice one to finish.
So we'll go out. No, we'll go out with these. We'll keep putting new ones up. We'll go out, and we've been talking with Julia Calfee, a photographer extraordinaire, a budding video artist, and so forth. And happy to have been able to bring her work. But go ahead, talk to these a little bit as we go out.
Yes. So this is my neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
And